I would like to pay tribute to Steve Wright because most of us that were radio fans and connoisseurs will have heard the sad news this week about Steve's passing. And having started this new channel in the podcast, I thought that you couldn't let it go how much of an impact Steve Wright made on radio, on broadcasting, and on television, even though so many reports say that television wasn't his favourite thing. If you were anything like myself, you would have grown up watching him on Top of the Pops. He also was a guest on many shows. He did the Steve Wright's People show in the 90s, and he might not have supposedly been comfortable on TV, but you wouldn't have known it. It was such a comforting thing to see Steve on Top of the Pops. He made it look easy. You could tell that he was a fan of music and a fan of the bands. Whenever you heard him interviewing anyone on the radio, it was actually news to me that every interview was pre-recorded. It's only been in the past few days reading all the tributes and all the articles. I knew that some of the interviews would have been pre-recorded, but I thought maybe the occasional one might have been live. But so many people have come out and said that it was a tribute to his skill, that he would actually make sure that every interview was pre-recorded specifically so that he could get the best from you. There was even a blog by Leslie Ann Jones, the writer, who I'm also a fan of, and she said that he took the time to actually stop the interview, obviously pre-recorded, and say to her, we can do so much better. We can sell this book. Come on, Leslie Ann, you can do this. You can really get the energy in. And she said that the initial nerves that had caused her maybe to sound a bit shy, he got them out of her. And then subsequently, every time she was on the show, she would get more and more confident. And it was always Steve saying, you're doing brilliant, you're getting there. You are becoming very comfortable in interviews and on radio. I also read about basically so many stars and celebrities that said Steve always made sure that he knew the subject, he knew what he was talking about. And we all know that we watch interviews on TV where it's evident that they're either not interested or they only want to talk about the cliched things like the show the person was in 30 years ago or the one hit single that they had when they're in to talk about something completely different. I also know that a lot of that's because they might not have time to research, or it might be a 3-minute segment on a TV show or a radio show. Again, don't we all know that in today's world you're only ever allowed an interview for a few minutes? God forbid that they actually spoke to them and had a conversation, but that's another thing. So with Steve, I thought it'd be nice just to acknowledge that a lot of us that were fans and that admired what he did, we actually did appreciate every show. We appreciated the hours that he put into it. We're hearing now that for a 2:00 show, he was actually going into the office at 9 a.m. and prepping all day for that show. And I'd like his friends and family to know that we did appreciate it and we knew the work that he put in. And yes, it did sound like they were having a great time and it sounded effortless, but we all knew how much went into that. I don't think we knew to the level, and that specifically he was spending hours and hours prior to and after analysing and making sure that every single section was spot on. But we knew that a lot of work went into it. So Steve, we appreciated you, we loved you, we were fortunate to have your shows for as long as we did. And thankfully, through social media, through YouTube, through so many different platforms, we'll continue to listen to all of your work. And it's just a great loss. But Steve Wright, definitely one of the best.